We have a really crucial pair of Game 2s tonight, but we're going to start our show with breaking news. Sandy Brondello out as head coach of the New York Liberty. In a statement released by the team, it says in part, quote, Sandy finishes her tenure in New York as the winningest coach in franchise history, and she took us to never-seen-before heights as the
WNBA just delivered the most shocking blow of the season, and nobody saw it coming. Sandy Brondello, the woman who delivered New York Liberty their first championship in franchise history, has been fired. But here's the kicker that's sending shockwaves through social media right now. Fans are convinced it's all because she dared to praise Caitlin Clark. Yes, you heard that right. The coach who brought a championship.
The market. We got a shark out on the market. This is wild news. Sandy Brondello has been fired by the New York Liberty in shocking fashion. This is on ESPN. Breaking: New York Liberty head coach Sandy Brondello's contract will not be renewed for the 2026 season. The team announced the organization will begin the search for its next coach immediately. So we got Noelle Quinn gone. Sandy Brondello gone. I think the Indiana Fever need to take a look at this. I think, look,
New York might have lost her job simply for saying something nice about the league's biggest star. And if that's true, it exposes a level of insecurity in the WNBA that's absolutely mind-blowing. Just hours ago, the Liberty dropped a statement that felt colder than a January morning in New York. Sandy finishes her tenure as the winningest coach in franchise history. They said, and she took us to never-seen-before heights as the first head coach to lead the Liberty to a championship. Then came the corporate kiss of death. We wish Sandy the very best. Translation? Thanks for the memories. Now get out. But wait, let me paint you the full picture of just how insane this really is. We're talking about a coach who literally transformed this franchise from a collection of expensive all-stars who couldn't win when it mattered into legitimate champions. Before Brondello arrived, the Liberty had Brianna Stewart, Jonquil Jones, and Sabrina Ionescu, three of the most...
She's a great player. Would have been good for our draft this year, but hopefully we'll get to see her after a personal stuff, get to play them again. As for the All-Star, I'm excited to get to know her a little bit. I think that's the part of the All-Star, is going to coach players that we haven't coached before and get them to know them a little bit. And,
talented players in the world. And yet they were just another flashy roster with no direction. Then Sandy stepped in, organized the chaos, managed the egos, and delivered what New York fans had been waiting decades to see: a championship banner hanging in their arena. So, what could possibly justify firing someone who accomplished the impossible? The official line from the Liberty sounds like every corporate PR disaster you've ever heard. Performance-based decision. New direction. Mutual parting. But here's where it gets juicy. And this is where fans started connecting dots faster than a detective solving
the way that they wanted it to go. Clearly, in New York, the standard has been raised. As Coach Tibbs learned with the New York Knicks, making the playoffs does not guarantee that you are safe anymore. They have raised the standard. They're sending a message to the fans, to the team, saying, we don't want to just go to the playoffs. We need to go to the finals and we need to win. So if it's not the players on the court that are changing, it's got to be the coaching staff. So unfortunately, that did mean
murder case. The timing is suspicious as hell. Just days before this firing, Sandy Brondello made some comments about Caitlin Clark that apparently didn't sit well with certain people in power. She called Clark a great player, acknowledged her impact on the league, and basically said what everyone with functioning eyeballs already knows: Caitlin Clark has transformed women's basketball. Seems innocent enough, right? Wrong. In today's WNBA politics, praising Caitlin Clark has somehow become the equivalent of committing treason. And here's what makes this story absolutely wild. We're living in an era where a coach can win a championship and still get fired for saying something positive about the player who's single-handedly boosting the entire league's popularity. Think about that for a second. Sandy Brondello watched Caitlin Clark break attendance records, shatter TV ratings, and sell more jerseys than entire teams combined. and she had the audacity to acknowledge reality. That acknowledgement might have just cost her the job she earned by winning a title. The more you dig into this, the more twisted it becomes. Multiple sources are whispering that Liberty ownership was not happy with Brondello's public praise of Clark. Why? Because in a league where some veteran players have made it clear they resent Clark's spotlight, having your own coach singing her praises sends the wrong message. It's like your team captain publicly admitting the opposing team's quarterback is better than yours. The politics are petty, but they're real. Now, let me break down just how accomplished Sandy Brondello really is, because this makes her firing even more shocking. She's one of only 2 coaches in WNBA history to win championships with multiple franchises. She also won in Phoenix. Her 40 playoff wins rank second all-time behind only Cheryl Reeve. You don't accidentally stumble into that kind of success. That's elite, Hall of Fame level coaching. And yet, here we are, watching the Liberty toss her aside like yesterday's newspaper. But here's what's really eating at fans across the league. This isn't just about one coach losing her job. This is the WNBA sending a message that's loud and clear. Praise Caitlin Clark too much, and you might be next. Stay in your lane, keep the spotlight on the approved stars, or face the consequences. It's a chilling message for a league that claims to care about growth and fairness. The reaction from around the league tells you everything you need to know about how wrong this decision looks. Becky Hammon, the respected coach of the Las Vegas Aces, basically called the Liberty out without saying it directly. She described Brondello as a quality person and a quality coach. Translation: you just fired someone who deserved way better than this. When rival coaches are defending someone you just fired, you messed up big time. Even more damning? Liberty players like Breanna Stewart had been publicly supporting Brondello right up until the firing. So you've got your MVP caliber players saying, "We've got her back," and ownership fires her anyway. That tells you this decision had nothing to do with basketball results and everything to do with image control. The fans aren't buying the official story for 1 second. Social media exploded immediately with people connecting the Clark praise to the firing timeline. The dots are too obvious to ignore. Brondello praises Clark, Liberty lose in the playoffs. Suddenly she's gone. If this was purely about wins and losses, why not fire her last year when they fell short? Why wait until right after she made pro-Clark comments? The timing is smoking gun obvious. And here's the tragic irony that makes this whole situation even more infuriating. Brondello wasn't wrong about Clark. The numbers don't lie. The Indiana Fever went from being completely irrelevant to the most watched team in the league. TV ratings broke records when Clark played. Road arenas sold out just to see her. Jersey sales went through the roof. That didn't happen because of the Liberty, the Aces, or anyone else. It happened because Caitlin Clark's name carries weight that no other player in the league comes close to matching. Brondello simply acknowledged what everyone already knew. But instead of celebrating a coach who was honest about the league's biggest draw, the Liberty treated her honesty like betrayal. That's not just bad business. It's self-sabotage of the highest order. Think about the message this sends to the entire basketball world. The WNBA claims it wants to grow, wants mainstream attention, wants to compete with other sports for eyeballs and revenue. Yet, when they get the most marketable player in league history, instead of embracing her impact, they're punishing people for acknowledging it. That's not growth strategy. That's insecurity complex. Now, the Liberty are stuck with a problem they created. Whoever they hire next has to walk into a pressure cooker, knowing that championship expectations are non-negotiable, but saying the wrong thing about the wrong player could end their career. That's not coaching freedom. That's a trap. Good luck finding someone willing to navigate those landmines. Meanwhile, Sandy Brondello walks away with her reputation completely intact. She'll get another job quickly because winners don't stay unemployed long in professional sports. Seattle has an opening. Expansion teams are coming. Someone's going to hand her the keys again. And don't be surprised if she comes back to haunt the Liberty by beating them in the playoffs with a new team. That would be the ultimate karma. But the real victim in all this isn't even Brondello. It's Caitlin Clark herself. She didn't ask for any of this drama. She's just a 22-year-old kid playing basketball, breaking records in her second professional season. And somehow her name gets dragged into controversies she didn't create. Instead of celebrating the fact that she's boosted the entire league, including helping Liberty ticket sales when Indiana visited New York, the WNBA is turning her into a dividing line. The Liberty officially called this a mutual parting, which is corporate speak for, "We fired her, but don't want it to sound brutal." Sandy Brondello didn't spend decades building her resume, winning titles in multiple cities, and becoming one of the most respected coaches in basketball history just to suddenly wake up one morning and say, "You know what, I'm done." This was the franchise pulling the trigger, period. And here's what makes it even more pathetic. There's been a pattern all year of Clark-related drama. Opposing players have body-checked her, mocked her, complained about her attention. Opposing coaches have made passive-aggressive comments about her fame. Even referees have been accused of giving her tougher treatment. Through all of that garbage, Brondello had the backbone to say something positive about the player who's literally growing the game. The harsh reality nobody in the league office wants to admit is this: Caitlin Clark isn't going anywhere. She's already changed the game, and she's only in her second year. Ratings will keep rising, fans will keep showing up, kids will keep wearing her jersey. You can fire coaches, you can push narratives, you can try to redirect the spotlight, but the Clark effect is bigger than all your political games. So firing Brondello doesn't silence the Clark conversation. It makes it louder. It turns a simple coaching change into a controversy that overshadows everything else. Instead of people talking about the Liberty's future, everyone's talking about how fragile the league looks when one compliment about Clark sends them into meltdown mode. That's not power, that's weakness. And fans see right through it. They're not just upset that Brondello is gone. They're upset that the league exposed its own insecurity in the process. Sandy Brondello gave New York its first championship and got fired allegedly for praising the player who's transforming women's basketball. If that doesn't scream insecurity, nothing does. The truth is, Caitlin Clark changed this league forever, and no amount of political maneuvering can erase that reality.